Hey everyone, and welcome to Madness Thursday. I'm Jim Williams along with Chris King. And Chris, we got some fun stuff to talk about today because, we've got the Sweet 16 begins tonight in San Francisco and San Antonio. And ironically,
Going exciting places.
yeah, ironically, we were talking about it in the pre-show that the games that are early on television tonight will be the games played out at the Chase Center in San Francisco, where in San Antonio they're going to get the late games. So
Right, which makes no sense, but that's
yeah,
TV dictating tip-offs.
TV logic. So there you go. But yeah, it is a little strange, but hey, it is what it is. Before we get started, let's do a couple of business items, get them out of the way. And that would be, let's see, let's start with our deals at, let's do a quick one here for our buddies at BetMGM, okay? So, our friends at BetMGM, we're not going to talk tonight today about the NBA because we got a lot of stuff going on. But here's the deal, and that is this: use your BetMGM app and place a bet of at least $10 on any NBA game, and you get $200 if either team hits a three-pointer. Just click on the link in our show box below, and that way you'll be able to play. And hopefully it'll be a winner for you tonight. So again, first time you ever use it, bet at least $10 on any NBA game on your MGM app, and you get $200 if either team hits a three-pointer. Click on the BetMGM link in our show box below. We'll have some more BetMGM cool stuff coming up a little bit later in the show. Okay? All right, so let's go and talk a little bit about Gonzaga, the number one overall seed. It's in our region, which is, we've been given the West region, and here we go. So let's talk a little bit about Gonzaga taking on Arkansas. Arkansas is a dangerous team. They're on scholarship too. But
as much as Eric Musselman might try to make it seem like they're not.
Right, that's true. That's a 7:09 start Eastern time on CBS with Mr. Nance and the gang at the microphone. So
onions.
Right, yeah, Billy Rafferty. So, hello, friends. Jim Nance. Hello, friends.
Gonzaga finally gets to play a team that likes to run as much as they do. I mean, if you look, Gonzaga's 6th in the country in tempo at 72.4 possessions a game. Arkansas is 28th at 70.7. So my question is, will Musselman try to run with Mark Few's team, or is Musselman going to try and take the air out of the ball and make Gonzaga play a different style? We saw the rock fight that they were in with New Mexico State over the weekend where, for a while it didn't look like anybody was going to break 50 points. And, as it turned out, they barely broke 50. It was 53-48. But, you look at Arkansas and they haven't – I guess they haven't played as well as you would expect a 4 seed to play. They beat Vermont by 4 in a game where Vermont nearly had a chance in the final seconds to have the ball for a tying possession before replay overturned what would have been a turnover. And then, they struggled against New Mexico State. They were up for a bit. Then they gave up a run and they trailed. Then they went back ahead. And then it was just a brick fest down the stretch where nobody wanted to hit a basket. If you play that kind of poor shooting style against a team like Gonzaga, they're going to run you out of the building. You just look at the raw numbers for Arkansas shooting the ball in the tournament, and they are, well, let's be honest, they're putrid. I'm just pulling it up here. Yeah, they're shooting 35.5% in their first 2 games from the floor. They're shooting 27% from three-point range. The only reason why they're still in the tournament, they're shooting 84% at the free throw line in those 2 games.
Right.
JT Note has struggled. I mean, he scored 17 in the second half against Vermont after scoring nothing in the first. He wasn't great against New Mexico State. He's 10 of 34 from the floor. If he struggles, Arkansas is going to struggle on the offensive end. You can't rely on Stanley Umude and Audie's Tony. And on the other end of the floor, look at the massive size advantage that you're giving up here. Gonzaga has Drew Timme, and they have Chet Holmgren. Now, Holmgren, I know, is 7 feet and weighs about 57 pounds. But, he's been a shoddy racer on the defensive end. He shoots the ball well offensively. Timme is 6'10", 235. You look at Arkansas, they've got Jalen Williams, who's 6'10", and then they start, Umude and Tony, they're both 6'6". Which 6'6" guy are you going to put on Chet Holmgren?
I don't know. Yeah, Timme reminds me of Dirk Nowitzki in the way he plays.
Is it the porn stash?
I'm sorry?
Is it the porn stash?
Yeah, well, there's that. Yeah, but he's got those same kind of big guy mannerisms. I mean, he could, he's a guy who at that height shouldn't be able to handle the ball that well.
True.
And he can. And he can also shoot from outside. I mean, obviously he makes his bones inside, but Ryan thinks.
Look at the big second half he had against Memphis.
Well, yeah, because
they were down 12 in the opening minute of the second half, and then Timme scored 21 points or something like that.
I was going to say he went like 16 points before anybody else got a basket.
Yes, I mean
Ryan likes Arkansas straight out. Or taking the 9 points. Well, 9.
I would take the points. I think it's up to 10.5. At least it was this morning. It might have shifted again.
Yeah.
I don't think I would trust them straight out unless Gonzaga shoots 50% at the free throw line again. Which, I mean, we've seen them shoot 16 to 30 against Georgia State. That's the reason why Georgia State was in that game for so long.
Right.
And then they were 13 to 24 against Memphis. Timme's the main faulter in that case. I think he was 4 of 10 or something like that against Memphis. Yeah. They were going to have to be better at the line. I mean, that's way worse than what they shot during the regular season. I think they're at 70% or so, give or take, which isn't great, but it's not Boise State. But now the way they're shooting, they're making Boise State look, like Rick Barry in his prime.
Right.
As opposed to, Chris Dudley in his prime, if he had one.
If he had one, yeah. I don't know. To me, the thing, why your points about you said it's over 10 now?
I believe it's 10.5. I'm going to double check.
I mean, 10. It's 10. So whatever. 10. It's 10.5. The Gonzaga and most of these teams, they're playing closer games. Nobody's getting blown out, and so, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It is 10. So it went from 10. It was 8.5 originally. Then it was 9.5 yesterday. Then it was 10.5 this morning. Now it's back to 10.
Our buddy Super Slash says that he hopes that this is the year Gonzaga wins, but that's a lot of points.
It is a lot of points. I
they can still win, okay? They can still win and just not cover, okay? So there's that. Don't fret. I mean, it's still possible.
You can win 1-0.
Right. In Arkansas, Ryan's on Arkansas. So we got a couple of guys here, one on each side, deciding what's going on. Real quick, before we lose him here, Ryan just wants to remind everybody that the Sharks won last night. So
yeah, they did beat Calgary, but now they have to go, and now they have to go play Edmonton.
Right. So, and Bruce Boudreau won last night too. So
yeah,
there you go.
I will give you that. They did win that one.
We got
Patrick. I've said yesterday, Demko would have to stand on his head for Vancouver to win that game, and he stopped 32 out of 33 shots. It was a 0-0 game after 40 minutes.
Yeah, and Halak started for Calgary. I mean, not Calgary, for Bruce in Vancouver.
Oh, wait, they started Halak? They didn't start Demko?
No,
Demko started last night.
No, I think it's Halak started last night.
Great, now I got to go look at that box score because that's just horrible if that's the case. It's probably because he didn't get traded, so.
Yeah, maybe he's just so excited.
I mean, Peter Mrazek didn't get traded either, and he beat New
Yeah,
Jersey yesterday.
right.
So
I think that Halak started last night.
you are correct.
Yeah. So,
That was his one good start for the year.
hey, you know what? If he's gonna get it, that's the time to get it.
That's true.
So, all right. So we are saying chalk on this one, right?
Yeah,
Gonzaga goes
I think like Lex said, Gonzaga is
Mhm.
going to win, but I don't think they're going to. I don't know if they're going to cover.
right.
Um, like you said, 10 points is a lot of points. Like Sly said,
Yeah.
and we've seen, like you said, we've seen a lot of tight games. I mean, sure they blew out Georgia State, but like I said, that was a 2 point game with 12 minutes to go.
Right.
Then they struggled against Memphis. Arkansas has struggles in both their games. As far as the total's at 154.5. Now,
Hmm.
before that rock fight with New Mexico State, and that's what it was. It was a rock fight.
right.
Gonzaga or not Arkansas had gone over the number in 7 straight games going back to February 22nd against Florida.
Mhm.
Uh, but none of those numbers were as high as this one.
Right.
Gonzaga has 3 straight overs coming in, but um, this is a pretty high number. I mean, you got to go back to Santa Clara on February 19th to see a number as high as this was for the Bulldogs, and they stayed under the number in that game. At that point, that number was 163.5. So apparently, they really had a lot of faith in Herb Sendek's team. I think this one's going to end up somewhere in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Gonzaga gets to 80, but I think it's going to fall a couple points short. Originally, I thought it was going to go over, but after seeing how badly Arkansas shot the ball in the tournament and having to deal with Gonzaga's defense, unless they're getting a bunch of buckets in transition, I think this one's going to fall short.
Okay, let's move on. And we got
T-Train says he's Gonzaga minus 5.5 in the first half. So at halftime, Gonzaga will be up by 6 or more. Hey, I would agree with that.
That might be fair. Yeah, that might be fair. South Region, Villanova and Michigan, the team that we didn't think should be here.
Still don't think they should
be here, but is here. But
well, the sun shines on a dog's ass some days, Jim.
That's right. But Villanova's not the kind of team that Michigan can play with. I don't think.
No, I mean Villanova is a good veteran team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jay Wright's got guys that have been here before. Gillespie's a senior. Samuels is a senior. Slater is a senior. Justin Moore is a junior. Caleb Daniels, one of their key reserves, is a senior. It's a veteran team. They're not going to be intimidated by Michigan and their 19-14 record. I don't want to hear about strength of schedule. I don't want to hear about how great Michigan is because, you know, they played all these teams that were in the tournament down the stretch. So what? There were 9 teams from the Big Ten in the tournament when it started. No. There's 2 left.
Right.
I don't care who you played when they were all first-round losers.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Villanova go to Baylor and beat them down in Waco?
Villanova lost to Baylor badly in December.
Well, they went to Waco. They didn't go.
They beat Tennessee on a neutral floor. They lost to UCLA in overtime way back in November.
Okay.
They lost to Purdue on a neutral floor by 6.
I thought I remembered them playing and winning against a good team on the road. I thought it was Baylor.
Well, I mean, they did beat some. They beat Providence on the road.
Right.
Providence is in the Sweet 16.
Right.
You know, they played well in conference play. They beat Seton Hall. They beat Xavier. Not like anybody wants to talk about Xavier most of the time.
Right.
They beat Penn. You know, I know nobody really wants to talk about Penn because you know they were not in the Ivies, but you know. That Baylor loss was probably their worst loss of the year. They lost 57-36 back, but that was back on December 12th.
36. Good Lord.
36 points. They shot 6 of 27 from 2. And just to show that they weren't discriminating, they were 6 of 27 from 3. So they
were bad on both sides, yeah.
They shot 22.2% from the floor. And, you know, when you do that, you're probably not going to win.
Probably going to lose, yeah.
So, I mean, let's be honest. They never led in that game.
What's the line on Nova and Michigan tonight?
The line on Nova and Michigan is currently Villanova going off by 5.
Hmm.
And the one thing that, if you're Michigan, you hate is if it's a close game late and you've got a foul, you might as well just pack up and go home. Villanova, number 1 in the country in free throw shooting, 82.5%.
Michigan is not in the they're not there.
Michigan is 102nd at 73.9. Yeah, there you go. Michael said Villanova crushed Tennessee and Knoxville.
Thank you. That was I was trying to remember. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Michael, because I couldn't remember which one it was either. So
yeah. So thank you, Michael, from our new crack research department here. So okay, this one we're gonna go chalk on Villanova and the points, right? We can let 5 points. They'll beat them by 5 points.
Yeah, because Michigan doesn't force a lot of turnovers. I mean, they're 337th in turnover percentage defensively at 14.8%. I get that they're good offensively. Villanova's better. I mean, Michigan's 19th in offensive efficiency. Villanova is 8th. Villanova also 30th in defensive efficiency to Michigan's 77th. And like I said, it can come down to experience. Villanova's been here before Michigan. You know, Dickinson's only a sophomore. I know Eli Brooks is good, but Houston and Diabate are both freshmen. And Diabate could end up in foul trouble because if Villanova knocks down shots from the perimeter and you got to drag those guys out of the paint to try and guard somebody, then you're in trouble. And defensively, Villanova is going to surround Dickinson and make somebody else beat them.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's a strategy that has frustrated Michigan at times repeatedly. And I think that it's going to end up being their undoing is the fact that Gillespie plays for Villanova. Michigan doesn't have a guy like him. And I know everybody's talking about how great Frankie Collins has played at the point as a freshman with Devontae Jones missing. But the bottom line is he's a freshman. And if he does start again, if Jones is limited because of the concussion protocol and everything else, it's going to be an uphill climb for them all day long.
Well, and Villanova, not only being veteran, is also tournament tested.
Yeah.
So there's nothing here is going to be overwhelming to them. They're going to go down to San Antonio and have some fun. So, yep, this might be the time, folks, that the Maize and Blue take the long ride home. So we'll see. Going back out west. Okay, here's the one. Coach K.
T-Train says the same thing. He says he thinks Jay Wright might go right at Dickinson and get him in foul trouble, and that would get him off the floor, and then Michigan's going to really be in trouble.
You know, that's what I would do. You know?
Yeah, and Mike says, you know, Villanova, Jay Wright is one of the best coaches in the country. I'd agree with that. He's got 2 titles.
I'm not going to disagree with that. You know, the funny thing is that Jay has turned down more money to coach at bigger schools, but he likes staying in Philadelphia and likes coaching Villanova.
Meanwhile, you got guys like Willard that left Seton Hall to go to Maryland.
Right. Well, you know, he's taking the cash. And there you go.
The Steve Miller Band once said, take the money and run.
That's right. Speaking of, okay, so does the Mike Krzyzewski farewell tour end tonight in San Francisco? Does he leave his heart in San Francisco and lose to Texas Tech? 9:39. That's an approximate time, folks. Don't hold us to it. On CBS, it's 40 minutes after the first game's over.
I don't
What's
think
the
so.
line?
I think the line last I saw, and I'll double check to make sure that it hasn't changed. Oh, maybe it has. Look at that. It is now currently depending on the book, Texas Tech is a 1-point favorite at most books, including Bet Rivers and WinBet. At Caesars, they've now made it a pick'em. For some reason, BetMGM has switched the line to Duke -1.5. All week long, it had been Texas Tech -1. So
now
apparently, there's somebody jumping in saying that Duke is.
So the money's pushing Duke.
Yeah.
But not much.
Well, enough that it moved it to a pick'em at Caesars, and like I said, at MGM, it's moved it from. It moved from Texas Tech -1 to Duke -1.5.
Right.
Ryan says he's a Duke fan and has no confidence in this game because they almost lost to Michigan State.
Now, but that was then and this is now, Ryan. That's how.
That was then, which was 4 days ago.
Right.
But no, I think this is the end of the Mike Krzyzewski Magical Mystery Tour. Let's face it. I know everybody's all happy about Paulo Banchero. They all like Trevor Keels. They all like, the 365,012 McDonald's All-Americans that Duke has. Here's the problem. Duke has not been in a situation like this where they're playing a team like Texas Tech. Like I said in the pregame, Duke has a team full of boys. Texas Tech has a team full of men. Texas Tech's guys have been here. They've got the BTDT, been there, done that. They've got the shirt, they got the movie, they got a copy of the home game, they got a free toaster, and they got it all. You look at the experience factor between these teams. Duke, according to Ken Palm, is let's see, what was the number on that? I've got it in here somewhere. 346th in the country in experience. Texas Tech is 34th. The Red Raiders have allowed 57.5 points in their 2 tournament games. Duke does not play well against good defenses. You look down the stretch in the ACC and against the best defenses in the conference, they struggled with Virginia. They struggled with Virginia Tech. They struggled with Notre Dame and Texas Tech. They struggle with Miami, and Texas Tech is better than all those teams defensively. Texas Tech is number 1 in the country in defensive efficiency. They played well before under Chris Beard. Now it's Mark Adams. You know what? New face, same style. They will just kill you defensively. They force turnovers. They get buckets in transition. They make life miserable for opposing teams. Duke's not going to shoot 57% like they did against Michigan State. They're not going to shoot 51% like they did in the first round. They'll be lucky if they shoot 40% against Texas Tech. The Red Raiders, we've talked about how well they've played defense all season long. And I don't see Duke cracking that system on the fly. You look at the numbers. Opposing teams shot 38.2% from the field against Texas Tech. 4th in the country. Texas Tech gives up less than 13 twos a game. That's it. 13 twos. 1st in the country. 13th in 2-point percentage, 44%. 65th in 3-point percentage, 31.4%. 8th in scoring defense, 60.2. Sure, Duke's got Banchero, and they got Keels, and they got all the fun names that everybody remembers getting recruited. Texas Tech has guys that are lunch bucket guys. They go out there, they do their job, they go home. Terrence Shannon, nobody necessarily knows who he is. Marco Santos Silva transferred from VCU. Then I think he was in Texas, and then he left there after Shaka Smart left. Kevin McCullough, Adonis Arms, who's been around since Obama was president. And I'm not making that up. He's actually been there since Obama's been president. Davion Warren, Kevin O'Banner came from Oral Roberts. We saw what he did with Max Abmas last year in the tournament, creating havoc. Bryson Williams came from Fresno State. This is a team full of that's loaded with experience. They got 5 seniors. They got 4 juniors in their top 9 players. Duke doesn't have that kind of experience. Duke doesn't have the kind of grit that they need in order to be successful. I'm going to take Texas Tech. And if you're going to give me the points at BetMGM, I'll take those too.
There you go. Well, that's because BetMGM is that kind of people. They'll give you something, Chris. See, they're a good sponsor, right? They're a good sponsor.
They are.
There you go. Well, look, one thing they can't say is that if tonight is the end for Krzyzewski, that he's leaving the cupboard bare, because this is a team that will be reckoned with certainly next year, because they do have talent on that team. So,
well, yeah, you look at Ryan. He said, he thinks it could possibly be a blowout by Texas Tech. They got blown out by North Carolina at Cameron Indoor. They lost to Virginia Tech. They didn't cover against Cal. And who's talking about Cal in March ever when it comes to basketball?
Who's talking about Cal in anything? In
maybe the academic decathlon or something.
Maybe golf. But
sure.
You never.
But
know.
I agree. I know you think that Duke will get through. If they do,
I
might get helped by the officials.
What did I tell you? I said to you, I wouldn't bet on it. I said it was.
Oh no, I didn't say you would bet on it. I just said you think that Duke's going to get through. I'm not saying you were betting on it.
I hope Duke gets through. I've got a rooting interest here. And you never bet on games that you have a rooting interest in, because that's not wise. And
it is true.
Always bet accordingly, and stay away from games like this if you've got some sort of feeling toward it. Here's a game I don't have any feeling toward.
Here's a game we don't care about at all.
I didn't say I didn't care about it. I just don't feeling for it. This one is Chris King's upset special. And there's a lot of people thinking right now, ooh, that Arizona team, they're headed for cutting down the strands on the basket when they all get together in New Orleans next week.
Yeah, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to quote Winger, the great 80s hair band, and say that Arizona is headed for a heartbreak.
We can go Eagles and go, there's a heartbreak tonight.
That's true. Or you can be Elvis and say Heartbreak Hotel.
That's right. Anybody want to chime in with your heartbreak songs? Put them in the comments.
T-Train, I know that Connecticut guys hate Duke. We hear that all the time from LA Bachelor.
Right.
The funny thing is, where I grew up and my wife grew up is the hometown of one Christian Leitner. And let me tell you, I don't like him any more than you do. And I, lived 5 minutes away from him. So there's that. While Sly said, Leitner and Hurley and Grant Hill and all those guys, they were great teams. Sure, but Leitner's a dick. I mean,
you can be great. You can be great and people don't like you. I mean, Barry Bonds was great. And not a lot of people like them.
That's true. But, I think Houston is going to give Arizona some real problems. You look at the way Arizona struggled in their game against TCU. They gave up a ton of offensive rebounds in that game, which was concerning when you consider the fact that Houston picked up offensive rebounds on 40% of their missed shots in the game against Illinois the other night. They picked up offensive boards on at least 30% of their misses in each of their last 12 games. They're 15th in the country in offensive rebounding percentage. Or I'm sorry, they are actually – look at the wrong page there. They're third in offensive rebounding percentage at 37.7%. That's a pretty scary stat when you're an Arizona team that just gave up 20 offensive rebounds to TCU. Had TCU been able to hit free throws, but looking at you, Eddie Lampkin, you're the big reason why TCU went home, going 4 of 10 at the stripe. Everybody will point to how he was 8 of 9 from the floor, but so what? You missed 6 free throws. It could have put the game away in regulation. And you look at Arizona, if Houston clamps down in the paint and makes Arizona shoot from 3, Arizona was just 5 of 27 from beyond the arc against TCU. I know everybody likes Benedict Mathurin. He was 3 of 11 from out there. Kerr Kriisa was 1 of 10 in his action. He took 10 shots from the field, and they were all from 3. Here's a clue. if the first 8 don't go in, stop shooting.
Stop shooting it.
But I mean, 5
Take a
of
step
20.
inside the arc. Yeah.
Yeah, he took no twos.
Okay, this game started out most of the week with Arizona 2 up, and it's dropped down now to I think 1-5, right?
Yeah, 1.5.
So, the money is moving toward Houston.
Yeah, well, you're talking about a clash of styles. I mean, Arizona's a very good offensive team. Nobody's going to take that away from him. Tommy Lloyd's done a great job rebuilding that program. But Houston will kill you defensively. I mean, they're 7th in the country in scoring defense. They lead the nation in field goal percentage defense at 37.2%. That's it. 37.2. You're not going to beat a lot of teams when that's what you're shooting from the floor. They're shooting. Teams were shooting 44% from 2 against them. They're shooting 28.8% from 3 against Houston. Again, that's it. 28.8%. Not going to get it done if that's all you're hitting. And like we said, Arizona struggled from the field against TCU. Nobody's confusing TCU with Houston when it comes to defense.
Nope.
And this is a Houston team that has galvanized itself since December. You remember they had Marcus Sasser. He was lost for the year with a toe injury. They had Tremont Mark. He was lost for the season. So you've got other guys stepping up. You got Sheed, and you've got Edwards, and you got White, and you got Taze Moore, who transferred into the program last season from Cal State Bakersfield. He was a good player there. He's played even better over here. Had a big game against Illinois. You got Josh Carlton down low. Arizona is going to have to get another big game from Christian Coloco, who had the game of his life the other day. And Matherin is going to have to knock down some jumpers. They're going to have to hit some threes to loosen up Houston's defense, because Houston's not going to give up anything inside unless they get in foul trouble.
Yeah. This is one of those cases you had just mentioned, Texas Tech being a lunch bucket team.
Yep.
And Houston is a lunch bucket team.
True.
Not that's not throwing shade on the talent that they have. It's just that this is not a group of 5-star McDonald All-Americans. These are guys that you just said, they transferred here. They came from the portal. They put together a team, and the team is playing. So, and they, as you said, they galvanized themselves. Houston came out to prove a point, and I think they pretty much proved it, that they are, as good a team as anybody in the country. And now against the number 2 overall number 1 seed in Arizona, they have a chance to prove it, and they don't have to go too far to do it. They're doing it in San Antonio in their backyard. So,
and here's the funny thing: Arizona's a 1 seed, right?
Yeah.
Houston's a 5 seed, right?
Yep.
In Ken Palm's rankings, Arizona's ranked number 3. Do you know what Houston's ranked?
2.
Number 2.
Yep. That one I knew.
Talk about an undervalued seed, Houston Cougars. I'll tell you what, if the Houston Cougars were playing in a power conference other than the AAC, there's no way in hell they come in as a 5 seed into this tournament. You talk about being disrespected.
Yeah.
A team that is 31-5, and 2 of their losses were to Memphis. 1 was by 2 to SMU. 1 was by 1 to Alabama on the road. And the other was a 2-point loss to Wisconsin on a neutral floor back in November. You talk about a team that is disrespected. It's the Houston Cougars. And I think Kelvin Sampson is going to channel that disrespect and say, don't you think we should be a 1 seed? These are the bozos over on the other bench that they ruled are better than you by, insert X number of teams, because you have to figure that Houston would basically be slotted somewhere between 17 and 20 if Arizona is the number 2 1 seed in the bracket, just by going by simple math. So you're talking about there are at least 15 slots worse in the seed lines than Arizona, and it makes no sense, especially when you look at how bad the Pac-12 was.
Well, yeah, and the thing for Houston is they're going to be in the Big 12 coming up here soon. So that'll give them an opportunity to hopefully get some respect down the road. Hey, look, before we go to the 2 for the money, 4 for the show, and all the important stuff that got going on there, 2 things we want you to do. Number 1, we want you to go down to the show box, and we want you to sign up for Winners and Whiners Sweet 16 booklet, which should come out tomorrow morning because, or today. I think it's out.
Yeah, it's out. I got mine this morning.
Okay. So you can have it for tonight's game. And what that's going to do is going to give you all the information you need to know for betting on all the games that we're talking about here. And we'll be talking about tomorrow in the Sweet 16. And that, of course, is free of charge because we like you guys and we want you to have it. All right. Now, here's an opportunity to also, while you're in the show box down there, we're going to have a contest. Now, this contest gives you a chance to prove to us that you know what you're talking about. Now, we know all you guys that are here know college basketball. Well, you do not have to wager a single dollar on this. It's free. What you have to do is you basically go in and there's 15 questions. And Chris, you want to explain how the contest works?
Yeah, it's going to be set up where you get to pick we'll ask you a bunch of questions where you say yes or no. It'll be
there's 15 of them.
Yeah, it'll be a mix of sides and totals and different player props like will, Joe Below score 50 points. God, for God's sake, if the question says, will Joe Below score 50 points, don't put yes. Because Joe Blow ran out of eligibility. I just checked with the NCAA. Joe Blow
it could be Timmy. It could be Timmy from Gonzaga score 50 points.
Yeah, but if it's Joe Blow,
it's still 50. The answer's still no. But yeah,
right. But there's 15 questions. If you get all 15 right, you can win $10,000.
But
if you don't, yeah. But if you don't, and you still end up with more right than anybody else, you can win $1,000.
Right.
Pretty good for not putting in any money.
That's right. So,
and they won't let me win. So I mean, somebody else somebody that watches the show should win, just so we can say that we have the best viewers out there.
That's right. We want somebody from our show to win that money. So go out there and do it. So get the book for free, enter the contest for free, and have a lot of fun on us because we want you to do that. Okay,
Elliot, if you're the man in this business, then why aren't you sitting in my spot? Don't try and disrespect me on my show, there, Mr. Disco Inferno. I'll get Alex Wright to turn your lights out.
Elliot says just send a check his way. Okay. Okay. One quick question here from Mr. King because he's being very polite. James wants to know, what do you think the Nuggets line?
Last I saw, Denver was favored by 3.5. I'm going to just check and see if it changed real quick. Is it down to 3? Nope, still 3.5. Yeah, I kind of like Denver at home here, just because of the fact Phoenix played last night. They had to run with Minnesota. They did win that one, which was nice because that was one of my favorite or featured picks for whatever Michael was asking about yesterday. For my top NBA play, I took the Suns. But here they're playing the same game back-to-back. You have to figure with the altitude being a factor, they're going to be a little tired. It's no fun playing against Minnesota when you have to play somebody else in the second game of back-to-back. And Denver plays decent basketball at home. They don't play necessarily as great as we've seen them play in previous years. But I'll take the Nuggets and give the points.
Okay, we are getting ready to rock and roll because we've got a lot to get done here in a short period of time. So let's move on to 2 for the money.
Yeah. Speaking of one-sided games, I'm gonna take the Bucks minus 12.5 over the Wiz. The Wiz, I just don't trust them. I know that I've heard reports about Antetokounmpo supposedly not playing. I haven't confirmed it because it's been a busy afternoon. But even still, you look at how bad Washington has played of late, and it's just not compelling. Yeah, Antetokounmpo is out with a sore knee. Middleton's still dealing with that wrist injury. But, that's the great thing about Milwaukee is they've got 55 other guys that can step up and score points. Meanwhile, Kyle Kuzma is not going to play for Washington again, so it's going to be Porzingis and who? I still don't trust Washington even getting that many points. I'm going to take Milwaukee. And I'm going to go with Sly's Jets over the Sens. I like the way Winnipeg's played of late. Ottawa's up and down. And this game's in Winnipeg, so I'm going to ride with Winnipeg in that one. We talked about Villanova over Michigan. If it's a close game late, Michigan's screwed because Villanova actually shoots free throws, unlike a lot of these other teams in the tournament. And I'm going to go with Florida over Montreal. I just don't trust the Canadians. If the Panthers want to be taken seriously as a contender for the Stanley Cup, they need to beat up on doormat teams like Montreal. I don't care if the game's in the Bell Center. I don't care if the game is on Mars. The bottom line is the Panthers are a first-place team and the Canadians are a last-place team. That usually bodes well for the favorites. It's going to be Spencer Knight starting again. I don't know what's up. Do you know what's up with Sergei Bobrovsky, Jim? He's got a hangnail or something?
He got scratched late the other night, but I have no idea what the problem is.
I was going to say, because this is Knight's 5th straight start.
Yeah.
I know Ekblad is on IR. So they don't even have anything listed on the injury report for him at all. I'm looking. They got Lundell, Ekblad, Hornquist, Johansson, Lomberg, and Nudavara.
Right.
Bobrovsky's not even on the injured list or the injury report. So I don't know what the hell's going on with him.
Yeah. By the way, Marlo, the Wizards do stink. I can tell you that from firsthand knowledge. All right, let's go to 4 for the show.
All right, we're going to go with, well, I said it before. I'm going to stick with it. Texas Tech ending the magical mystery tour of the Duke Blue Devils and Coach K. So when you see them take the floor next time, you'll see John Shire as the coach, and we'll see how long he lasts before he gets the Ziggy. I'm going to go with the Cougars. It was -2. It's -1.5 now. But I'm still going to go with the Cougars. I think their defense and their physicality is too much for a young Arizona team to deal with. I like the Raptors at home over the Cavs. Cleveland is just kind of falling apart, and a win here will have Toronto jump Cleveland in the standings as they race for the final guaranteed playoff spot in the East. And, of course, the St. Louis Blues taking on everybody's favorite punching bag, the Philadelphia Flyers. And unfortunately for the Flyers, this game's on the road where they play even worse than they play at home. So we will take the Blues.
And now it's time to go to the menu, guys. And this one is the one you want to pay attention to.
Right. Arkansas and Gonzaga, I look to stay under the number. We talked about that already. Michigan, Villanova, I think is going to fall short too. Surprisingly, I'm going to go with Houston going over the mark, not by much. I think that this is only going to end up maybe 148, 150 at most in that Houston game. But I think Houston, for as slow of a tempo they play, I think that they're going to be able to get some easy buckets in transition, and that'll help the number. Texas Tech, Duke, I'm going to look to get to about 140, and that's it. But 140 is still bigger than 136.5 last time I used a calculator. So I'm going to lean towards the over there. On the hardwood, I'm going to go with Memphis, -12.5 over Indiana. God, these lines are terrible. Indiana screwed me last night when they lost in the final second to Sacramento. Looking at the injury report, Malcolm Brogdon not expected to play. Chris Duarte is out. Isaiah Jackson is out. Rick Smith's also out. So is Reggie Miller and Chuck Person for Indiana. For Memphis, as of right now, Dylan Brooks, Brandon Clark, and John Morant are out for the Grizzlies. That'll be the third straight game that Morant's missed. But, hey, he didn't play yesterday, and they still beat the Nets. So I'll look for them to beat the Pacers, who are absolutely dreadful. The Bulls, -1 over New Orleans. Let's see. The Bulls, according to the injury report, have Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan out with an adductor strain. Zach LaVine is available and should play. Brandon Ingram is doubtful for the Pelicans. I just think Chicago needs this one. more than New Orleans at this point. Yep, Marlo said for the Pacers, it's all on Dale Davis. Yeah, Antonio Davis decided he wasn't going to suit up tonight either. So it's down to Dale Davis and the late Wayman Tisdale.
Right.
Like I said, I'm going to take the Nuggets over the Suns. On the ice, Minnesota, I'm going to go with them over Vancouver. I know I took Colorado over Vancouver yesterday, and they didn't pan out. So that's probably why they started Halak, though I don't know why you'd start Halak against Colorado. So it'll probably be Demko tonight. Minnesota, though, they're rested. They're playing at home. They play well there. I think they'll pick up the win. I'm going to go with Nashville over Vegas. Vegas is reeling. They were blanked in back-to-back games. Nashville's playing good hockey right now. And I'm going to take the Kings at home. They're the best team playing in the Crypto Dome right now, folks. The Blackhawks beat Anaheim last night 4-2. So they're playing the second game of back-to-back. I'm going to go with the Kings. And as Lane Elliott says, the Pacers are going to start Jamal Tinsley tonight. Hey, they could do worse at this point. They could get Roy Hibbert out of retirement.
Yeah, they might.
Danny Granger's available.
Absolutely. Hey, guys, watch our entire Max Wagers Network team. Midday Money, Sean Higgs at noon. Morning with Allie Burns, 1 to 2. Then it's us, just parlays with Chris and I, 2 to 3, followed by Scott and Scott back to the window, 3 to 4 p.m., and game time decisions with Nick, Tim, and Lenny at 5 o'clock. Okay? So, look, going to have some fun tonight. Enjoy March Madness, Thursday night edition of March Madness. We're going to be back here tomorrow to talk about it and to get you ready for the Friday edition of March Madness. Guys, we appreciate you coming. We appreciate all your questions. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment sections. Check out the show box below to check out all of our stuff with BetMGM, which we talked about. Also, the free opportunities to get the book, which talks about the Sweet 16, as well as entering the tournament and getting Chris's picks sent to your email address. All of that information is in the show box below. Take the time. It doesn't take 5 minutes to read it, and you get all kinds of fun stuff, okay? All right, gang, until tomorrow, for Chris King, I'm Jim Williams saying we will see you tomorrow, and have a good and a safe night. Until then, guys, bye-bye.